Well, hey, and welcome to the podcast today. Apprentice Billionaire is back, and we're looking at helping you become an apprentice billionaire, trainee billionaire, billionaire in training, whatever form you want to look at it. But if you're serious about building business and building wealth for yourself, this is the podcast for you. I'm BradSugars, and I'm going to host with it today. And today I get to join a great team. These guys are having a lot of fun with business. Rick and Helen, how you doing, gang?
Hey.
Yeah.
Lovely to say hello.
Yeah, we're good, thank you.
Well, I'm here in Las Vegas. You guys are over in Chelmsford in Essex, so hence the half Australian, half American accent talking to the Brit accent.
And we're a bit lost because we're both originally from the north of England, and we're now down in the south. We've been here 10 years, so the locals around here don't understand us either.
It's kind of funny, when I travel through England, I always wonder something like I get to places like Hull and I look at people and go, what are you saying to me? And they're speaking more English than I am, so there you go. Now, listen, you guys, you started a business, Hey Pigs. Before we get into what the business is and how it works and everything like that, what got you to decide to go into business for yourself? Because you're crazy to go into business for yourself these days, apparently.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think it was my fault.
It absolutely was his fault. Yeah.
I'd had a career in product design. I'd worked for people. I must admit, I always found it difficult working for people. I was always the one who was rubbing people up the wrong way and challenging processes and procedures and the likes. And,
I seem to know a few people like that, Rick. I know a few people like that. So I always said one of the best key skills you can have in life is being bad at working for other people. If you're bad at working for other people, you're probably going to succeed on your own.
Oh, you're just breaking up there a little bit there, Brad. Can you still hear us?
Yeah, I've got you. So I was just saying, my experience is that if you're bad at working for others, you're generally better at working for yourself.
Can you hear me? Sorry, we just lost you there.
Yeah, I got you guys clear as a bell.
We're back in there. Obviously, the challenge of working for other people, working for teams, working with people that rub you up the wrong way, the lazy people, the pushy people, and you have these big dreams. You think, oh, why am I making all this money for these people when I could be doing it all for myself? And personally, I managed to see several products come to fruition. They were in the shops. I was able to say to people, yeah, that's what I did. That's what.
But hang on, Helen, how did he drag you in on this then? How did he drag you across from your performance background and say, listen, you got to join me?
Probably kicking and screaming. No, I think I've sort of always been there as a support and as, someone to bounce ideas off. I say the fact that the business has grown out of something that we love, which is guinea pigs, that was kind of my fault because I was the one desperate to get guinea pigs as a pet. So I guess that then got the ball rolling. But really, to start with, it was Rick pushing it himself, and as things have grown and as, our lives have changed and, and my situation's changed with work and then having a child and, as such, I've then got more involved with the business. So
It's really interesting, because I notice a lot of people when they start business for themselves, family members, friends, they're kind of like, you're crazy. What are you doing? How are you going to do that? So especially when you're young and doing it. I mean, it's like double crazy. How would you know what you're doing? Did anyone say that to you? Because I know being English, everyone's very prim and proper and wouldn't say anything like that to you.
Well, yeah, I mean, we haven't got onto the business yet, but you'll when we reveal what the business is all about, I mean, you can understand there were quite a few people who thought we were off the wall, or certainly I was. Maybe Helen was supporting this crazy idea.
I'm pretty certain, though, if people aren't crazy, they're not going to succeed at something, because you got to be a little bit nuts to go into business for yourself. You got to be a little bit crazy to want to do something that's opposite of what 80-90% of the population does.
Absolutely. And you weigh up some of the risk. There are elements of it where you think, well, what's the worst case scenario here? What could we absolutely lose? We have a mortgage, we have a house, At the time, we didn't have a child. We now have a child. We sort of started the business and then got on with a child. We just thought we'd make it even harder work for ourselves.
Yeah, make sure you double down. Don't make it hard on yourselves. Double down and do it. Listen, if we all waited till we were a bit ready, no one would have ever got into business for themselves. No one would ever had a kid. And based on your business, no one would ever buy a guinea pig. I mean, all right, I've already said you guys are crazy. Now I'm going to tell everyone about your business. These guys started a business around guinea pigs, guinea pig products, guinea pig everything. You name it, it's guinea pig, they got it type thing. So for real, come on, tell me, Helen, was it real? You literally just adopted a couple of from a rescue center and then decided this is going to be our business?
Yeah, I mean, my transition from working in an office in London was to strike out on my own and then start off freelance. And I was working at that point down the bottom of the garden. The guinea pigs were spending most of the spring and summer out on the lawn, in a run. And I was watching them, and I'm trying to come up with the next novelty pencil for humans.
I think the thing was as well, we'd bought them so much stuff. So as a pet parent, we'd gone out, hadn't we? Well, I know I just
hang on. Take me back here a step. You bought a bunch of stuff for your guinea pigs. You've given me a new term there, a pet parent.
A pet parent, yeah. So very much feeling that these animals were part of our family, and they very quickly became part of the family, I think.
That's fantastic.
They had a plaque with their name on the hutch.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, just going out and buying them loads of things, things that supported the kind of stuff that guinea pigs want to do. So tunnels and archways and places to hide and, interesting ways to eat their food and all of the things that can kind of stimulate them. But we really got to the point where, we'd bought them loads of stuff and then we were looking for. And I think that's probably, Rick, where your brain started working.
And unfortunately, my brain, being a creative for 13, 14 years, it doesn't switch off. And I'd been doing lots of things in the film industry where we're creating ranges of merchandise to promote films. And I was like, man, why don't we do ranges for guinea pigs? Wouldn't that be awesome? So, we started thinking about all these crazy ideas about space guinea pigs and circus guinea pigs and Wild West guinea pigs, and the idea was there, and I started scribbling away, and before you know it, a few 3D prints later, you're trying it out with the guinea pigs, and they're loving it, and you're thinking, well, actually, is there a serious business model here? Is there a market?
Well, this is an interesting question because you guys have not only picked a niche, you've picked like the smallest segment of a niche. Like we're going to build animal products. No, we're going to build products for guinea pigs. This tiny little group of people. Has that both made it easier and harder, or what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's the thing that when we were pitching the business concept, everyone was going, "You're crazy. Why aren't you doing rabbits as well? Why aren't you doing all small animals? Why are you making it so small?" And my point was always that a guinea pig is not a hamster is not a ferret is not a rabbit. These all have completely different needs. Some are nocturnal, some are feast, sleep.
Forgive me as a plain old dog owner for not knowing the difference, guys.
Yeah. No, but believe me, the number of times we get asked about our hamsters, if I had £1 for every time. In fact, you wouldn't believe it. We got a nice bit of press in the Sunday Times just before Christmas, and they brought it up on the BBC Breakfast News, and the guy on there called our product a hamster cannon. And I just looked at it. Oh my goodness! But it proves a point. It proves the point that if you can't tell the difference between the species, how can you possibly A, look after them properly, and B, get them what they need?
Right. So let's go down that road just for a second. You pick the tiniest of niches. That makes it harder in some instances that your business doesn't have a lot of customers in one market. But then, from a marketing perspective, if you really know your exact market, it makes it easier, I guess.
Yeah, and some of the evidence that was out there, Brad, there were 2 or 3 really large Instagram, relatively speaking, Instagram accounts that had guinea pigs at the center of them. And we're talking 200,000 followers of a guinea pig, you know?
That's insane. That is one of the most fun things I've learned today, that there is guinea pig instas. But see, this is the whole point of Instagram, the whole point of Facebook, the whole point of all of these markets is that you can niche down to the tiniest group, but they're massive when you start actually accessing a globalized marketplace.
Yeah. And we actually started building our social media following before we'd even let on that we were going to create a business. Right. So we have several thousand followers of our rescue guinea pigs.
Nutmeg and Neptune.
Yeah. And by the point we launched the business, we probably had about 5 guinea pigs, but we had a decent following of people who are like-minded, and we already had some connections with some of the larger accounts that effectively become your influencers. So that we knew that when we had our products ready, we could share them with people and could very quickly get our message out. But also, people who were following us could see we were genuinely passionate about our guinea pigs, and it was a family business, and people really want to buy into that. Yeah. And they have done, and it's really, really rewarding from our perspective.
You know, I think it's one of the most amazing things of Instagram or any social media format is that if you really get down to your niche and you're telling a good story and you're sharing, people want to be a part of that are interested in the same thing as you. And I think that's a really interesting thing. By being lovers of guinea pigs, you knew your market, you knew what they thought, you knew all that thing. And even as you've said today, knowing how to design a product for a guinea pig is different from a hamster. Us non-guinea pig people have no clue of that, but that's the same for every business. The people who are in your target audience get it.
Yes, absolutely. And then this little niche that in the UK, just to give you a few figures, the UK market, we think, and it's estimations, there are around 700,000 guinea pigs. Now, that ain't bad if all of a sudden...
Buddy, you guys are blowing my mind with this today. You're blowing my mind with how many people buy guinea pig stuff. It's like...
Well, this is just some really interesting stats. So dogs, for example, there are about 9 million in the UK. Now, if you wanted to launch a new dog brand, right, you are fighting against hundreds of brands. I think there's about 30 new dog foods every time there is a UK pet trade show. Right? So the marketing budget you require to get your little bit of the pie is massive. And that pie of the 9 million suddenly becomes very, very small. Yeah. Now, if we could go in, there is a whole big pie waiting for us that is, 700,000. There is hardly anyone servicing that. There's some crafts, there's some Etsy and eBayers who are creating their own stuff just at home.
But no one big.
No one's really, no one there.
So if I'm trying to compete with 200, if I'm doing the math, there's 200 companies going for 9 million or there's 2 companies going for 700,000. Which one do I want to be? Math is good. Now, but finish up.
Sorry, and then, of course, that's the approximately in France, double in Germany. We think there's nearly 3 million in the US. It scales up.
So, but that brings me then to the point of globalization of your business, because when you pick a niche that's that tight, you really do have to, I guess, make the decision to go global. I don't think you can make the decision to just be local if you want to be big when that's the case. True? Or how did you find that? What was your thoughts?
Absolutely. And that's always been in the mind of the bigger vision, you know. And one of the very early things that we did actually was contact some guys in Australia who were doing a similar thing to us, or what we envisaged we were going to do. And yes, they were the sort of largest online retailer for guinea pigs. The UK didn't have an online retailer for guinea pigs, but in Australia they did. So we made contact with them. We shared our ideas with them. They bought into our ideas very early and supported what we were doing. And they have worked really, really hard for us, effectively as our distributor in Australia. And not so long ago, we signed up with the biggest pet retailer in Australia. So, you know, that's within 19 months of trading with, you know, a small family business.
It's interesting though, gang, because a lot of people when they're starting a business, older or younger, don't think as global as that. They sort of think very local. They think small. I love the fact that you guys being ready to go global from day one, and I think that that's a really important lesson for people here. I mean, you mentioned it was part of the vision. Was it part of the plan always to go to Australia first, or did that just come about so you took the first real opportunity that came your way? Which way did it work?
Yeah. I mean, there was the research prior to, you know, to get this off the ground. I had to do my research, I had to put together a business plan to get some funding together. So part of my research was looking at who is doing anything like this. And the reality was there was kind of a little bit of something going on in America. There was probably these Australian guys were the best at what I envisaged I wanted our business to look like in the UK. So it was kind of a bit of to putting the two together, but also with when I was working, you know, as a freelancer, working with the Australians was always fabulous. I've always enjoyed it.
We are fun. Us Aussies are fun. That is the way behind it. I mean,
it's fun.
I keep telling you guys that you English kicked out all the fun people 200 years ago. We got that understanding.
Yeah. Well, I think we totally did. You know. And I find the UK pet trade. Well, we certainly do. We find it a bit prudish, don't we? We find it a bit. You've got to break down the barriers. It's a bit old-fashioned.
It's very old-fashioned, really, and I think there is change coming, but it does need to move with the times a little bit. But they're certainly on it over in Australia, and you know, and it's a couple of people we've got a really lovely working relationship with, which just adds to the joy of it all as well.
Yeah. Well, let's flip this over for a second, because older people in business look at it and go, well, you're moving too fast. You're creating too much new stuff. It's too different. It's too unusual. No one wants to buy that sort of stuff. Whereas young people look at it from why are you so slow? What's it so stodgy for? How come you can't understand this new thing called Instagram? You know, to me, but that's what creates a lot of the opportunity. And I think without things like Instagram and Facebook and this stuff, your business would be very difficult.
Yeah, and you know what? There's still people who take orders and they pack them in a box and they take them down the post office, and we haven't done any of that. Straight away, we had to take a large amount of stock in order to produce the kind of products we wanted, but there was no way that was going in our house. It would have filled our house. So we had to find a way of working with that. And that meant getting it into a fulfillment center, finding a fulfillment center, understanding how to work with a fulfillment center, but actually, you know, doing that, integrating it with a website where an order comes in, we look at the phone and go, oh, order's in. And guess what? It goes straight to the warehouse posts it out, and we hopefully have a happy customer at the other end.
You know, the crazy thing about that is most people sort of, they theorize about virtual business. They think about virtual business. They've read about virtual business, but you guys do it every day.
Yeah. Yeah, and it as I say, it's through necessity. The bonkers thing about the way that we've done this business is that we've both had a part-time job on the side. You know, so while we were building this, I was continuing with my design consultancy.
Yep.
Helen's continuing with her teaching. You know, and we were putting all the funds that are coming in straight back into the business to grow it as efficiently as we can. So, you know, we've now got a business that's ticking over nicely, and you know, I'm trying my best to say, no, I can't take any design work. I'm too busy, you know?
You know, the crazy thing is, though, and this is where most people sort of, if I could really get people to understand, yeah, you start with a side gig, your side gig becomes your main gig. That's essentially what happens. And the millennial generation is the number one side gig organization, because Instagram and all of this has allowed us to create virtual businesses and build it from that. And I think that you guys are a living proof of that being a reality.
Yeah.
If I just
Yeah,
go back
and,
to the
you know,
marketing, if I could just go back to the marketing aspect though, because I think there's a lot of really important stuff that we've just skimmed on, but I'd like to touch on 2 points behind it. One is that you built a profile, built a personality around this. How important do you think that is for people to build that profile and personality and be a part of that story?
It's really hugely important, and that, you know, it does go two ways. But yeah, I think if you let people in to your world, then they're much more willing to get on board with you. Do you think that's true?
Yeah, I think that a couple of things that we've been very proactive with. You know, we've got along to pet shows. We've been there. You know, we've taken our stall. It's a pop-up shop effectively. People come and visit us. You know, we take the guinea pigs along. Not all of them. We take a few of them. Yeah. And
how many are there? Just out of curiosity, how many are there now?
At the moment, there are 6. There has been as many as 8.
Right.
So it fluctuates. You know, we've had a few tragedies recently, and that's really hard. And that's something that it's not just us that's sharing, you know, the illness or the death of a guinea pig. It's actually all these followers, and they are really, really engaged and involved.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, one of the hardest things to do is when I have to write that story about the guinea pig that's passed away, and then the reaction that we get. I mean, it's overwhelming, but it's, you know,
but these people live your life with you almost. They live that part of it. I know there's a great farm here in the United States that produce great, amazing cows, and their beef is phenomenal. But they keep everyone involved in the family. You know, when there's a new calf, and when there's this, and when there's all these things, they keep people involved. And I think that that's a part of your success. Is it's a family story. It's all of that, and the guinea pigs make a part of that story. I think one other thing that is very important for people to realize is that you are marketing on a global scale. You are pushing it on a global scale. You're not just trying to be local. You can sell to anywhere, basically.
Yeah. And that following is so helpful, you know, because classic thing for an entrepreneur is the highs and the lows, you know. And there are times there's been some real lows, and you know, perhaps you've lost a guinea pig, or, you know, you've had a real knockback and you need picking up, and guess who picks you up? It's actually that following.
Yeah.
That following that keeps you going. And you know, we've just currently welcomed 2 very, very young guinea pigs into the Hay Pigs clan, and just everyone's so excited. They're just, you know, these pigs are going to have such a great time. We know, we've seen what setups you guys create for them, and all the toys that they get to play with, you know, and it's so fulfilling. No?
You know, you guys are a great example of what we can do when we set our mind to building a business. You've won many awards. You've had a lot of fun with it. But I think that the fact that you've gone out, created a virtual business, turned it into a real business for yourselves that takes care of everything, and it's what you want to be doing. This is the whole point of the Apprentice Billionaire.
Yeah.
You know, if I could say one last thing, it's congrats on building a business where you get to work together and live your life together, because that's an amazing thing in this day and age.
And you know what? We've found ways of working harmoniously as well.
Believe it or not.
You know, that's a whole other podcast. That one there is a whole other podcast. Rick, Helen, thank you so much for sharing a bit about Hay Pigs with us here today. I love what you're doing out there. I love that you set an example for people to get into business for themselves, doing stuff they love, and creating amazing success. Thanks for being on the podcast today.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.